Welcome back, everybody. You know, much of the RNC process and thoughts on potential host cities were pretty secretive, at least until this week anyway. The Charlotte Business Journal spoke exclusively with Ron Kaufman, head of the RNC site selection. Now, here are some of the major points from that story. Kaufman apparently told the Business Journal that he was impressed with Charlotte and its collaborative spirit for the bid, saying, quote, "It's much better than any city I've been in." But he did have some concerns, specifically with regards to fundraising. Charlotte fell $10 million short of a needed $37 million in fundraising for 2012, back when the DNC was here. Now, reports say that the RNC is asking cities to raise $70 million for 2020. Now, another concern they pointed out, youth on our city council. A majority of the 11 members on the council right now are millennials. Kaufman told the Business Journal, quote, "Part of the reason we have some angst, other than the obvious, is that you have 6 freshmen on this council." And joining me now to break down what that means is the author of the article, Erik Spanburg, senior staff writer from the Charlotte Business Journal. So what do you make of those two comments?
Well, I think the latter comment is really an explanation of why the vote Monday is likely to be close, or maybe closer than people expected. So I think he was sort of preparing the land a little bit for that. You know, the first part about the fundraising, I think that is a concern, obviously, when you have an event this big. But remember, the key difference here is that you don't have the imposed limitations on corporate donations that you had in 2012 with the DNC in Charlotte.
So that means fundraising should be easier.
Should be easier, but at the same time, I guess I'm going to contradict myself a little bit, it's almost twice as much. It was $37 million in 2012. It's going to be $70 million in 2020, obviously. So that's a little bit bigger mountain to climb.
And President Trump is a, I guess it'd be safe to say, a non-traditional candidate. So does that mean that traditional dollars may not come his way? So if you double the amount, does that make it even harder that you have a non-traditional candidate, even though he's already the president?
Well, I think it may have in 2016, which they wound up having a surplus. I think this time, because he is the incumbent president and because the Republican Party has largely moved toward Donald Trump rather than away from him, I think that they will probably be able to meet that number.
What's your feeling on whether or not the city is going to vote on Monday? What is your feeling on how this is going to go?
I think that they will ultimately approve this. I think there will be a lot of discussion and debate leading up to it. You probably have 4, maybe 5 council members out of the 11 who will vote against it. So you're looking at a 7-4, 6-5 is my guess in favor.
Now, do you think that that's more of a symbolic vote, that they already know this is a done deal? So why not go ahead and vote a conscious vote, because my vote really doesn't matter anyway?
I think it certainly makes it a little bit easier, but I do also think when you listen to people such as Council Member Lawana Mayfield, Council Member Harlow, I mean, they've been pretty adamant. This has not been a kind of, well, I don't know which way to go. They've been pretty adamant that they don't think this is the right thing. Okay,
so we had the DNC in 2012. We are likely to get the 2020 RNC. What is this? This bodes well for Charlotte, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there aren't that many cities who have had both conventions, first of all, and certainly not in the modern era. You know, it used to be way back when, Chicago, Philadelphia, there were like 4 cities that had, right?
Cities.
Yeah, so it's much harder to do now. So assuming that it goes well, there are all those questions about protests and those things. If it goes well, absolutely, it's a huge coup for the city. If not, you have to live with the public relations backlash and maybe more.
This does help us. We won a Super Bowl at some point. We have a new team owner. So having the RNC here and proving once again that this city is really capable of hosting and pulling off a really big event, that bodes well for us.
Oh, absolutely. And remember, you have a test in between. You have the NBA All-Star Game in February of 2019. Then you go into the RNC in 2020. And absolutely, you're adding hotels, you're adding transportation, and all of that is what you need to funnel up to eventually a Super Bowl, if that's going to happen.
Okay, we're going to continue with our closing thought here in just 1 minute.